I felt like I made it. I'm a business owner. I've dropped the brush. I'm not painting anymore. Now I'm just running the office, running the vision, and doing all the sales. I made it. Then I'm starting to run all the sales and realize, man, I'm really good at this. I'm closing left and right. I like this, making good money. Then I'm like, wait, hold on, I'm burning out a little bit right now. Why am I burning out? Because I'm running 5 estimates a day, doing a little bit of project management, still running the business, the office side of things. So then I had that goes back to mindset.
Welcome back to another episode of The Pursuit of Purpose. My name is Chris Kiefer, and today I am here with Russell Peach, who is the founder of Peach Painting in Florida. For those of you that are in the painting industry, you probably have seen this guy around on all the Facebook groups and the conferences and whatnot. But I'm really excited for our conversation today. We're going to be diving into some discussion on branding and sales and marketing, and then just how he has really taken growth more seriously in the recent years. So without further ado, Russell, thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Chris. I'm definitely pumped up to share some insight and just have a good conversation with you.
Awesome. So peach painting, you started it 9 years ago, right?
Yep, 9 years ago.
And what was the you didn't woke up one day and were like, I'm going to start a painting company. What was the motivation back then to start?
Yeah, great question. Well, first off, in 11 days, we'll be celebrating 9 years as a company. So have a big party planned for the company. But yeah, I kind of got pushed into the painting industry. I was doing full home remodels. I was doing it myself. And the only way I could get work from general contractors were from, starting my own business and trying to put together my own teams. That's how I started Peach Maintenance. And then just quickly found out that it wasn't really easy to build and sustain a true business when you're doing 10 different trades at once. Really hard to get the manpower. And I found a contractor that, taught me how to paint, and, he had a ton of painting work until he didn't. And then I was a, true painter at heart at that point. So then I had to find a way to sell my own paint jobs, and boom, next thing you know, I'm in the painting industry and never turned back.
Mm. So the idea or like moving into niche and specializing in something, as I feel like sometimes I have many contractor friends that have a hard time saying no to projects or work that's like they're capable, they can do it, they know how, but you feel like you're saying no to all this revenue in order to just say yes to painting. That had to have been a challenge, right? Mentally, at least for a little while.
Absolutely. It was a huge battle for a while because, I know how to do everything, but then slowly started figuring out that I'm only one person. And then if I'm managing some jobs on the painting side while I'm trying to swing a hammer to do some subfloors on, my own time, it was not a good thing to mix the two and two together. So I see a lot of people, they get stuck in that realm, exactly like what you're thinking, just looking at the dollars. And then what ends up happening is client experience starts going down, and then you start getting angry customers, and ultimately it's just a bad mix for it all. Now, transparently, we are offering a lot of different services now, to this day, but I think that, before anybody really moves to that, they really have to have a ton of systems dialed in, and of course have the manpower dialed in before you really start venturing off.
Totally. So 9 years ago you started, and then but you didn't have your current like flashy, memorable brand that you have today. When did that come into be?
Yeah, great question. So the brand, we love the brand. Prolific Brand Design did our full branding package. We were Peach Maintenance for the first 6 years. Then we rebranded to Peach Painting Solutions. That was, of course, about 3 years or so ago, or whenever that was. Then I think it was about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years max. We actually rebranded to Peach Painting, and that's when we did the big mascot logo, got the wrap on the Tesla, got the wraps on all the vehicles, and really went to go hit it big at that point.
That's awesome. Because I feel like of all the, I mean, first of all, you went to Prolific and had the experts do it. I'm sure that was also some decisions in your mind of like, can I just find someone, a friend of mine, find someone on Upwork, like maybe I can get this done cheaper, right?
Oh, 100%. I definitely could have, 100%. You definitely can, but for my sake, my mindset on everything in business, if you're gonna do anything, do it right the first time. That at the point was my third brand. And I'm like, I'm not gonna go anywhere anytime soon. I'm gonna be here for 20, 30, 50 plus years, however long it is, pass it on to my son if he wants it, or whatever way the exit strategy is. It's going to be a sustainable brand for a very long time. So I need to make sure it's done correctly the first time instead of trying to go with that more inexpensive guy. We preach all the time to our clients on our paint jobs. We're usually never the cheapest, so you go preaching to your clients that, hey, the most inexpensive guy turns to be the most expensive guy 9 times out of 10. How could I go against my own thing that I preach to all my clients all the time? So there, of course, there's packages that are even higher than what we went with Prolific on other companies too. But he's Ryan Kettering. He's just a branding geek. That's all he lives, breathes, and eats. And he sold me on it. So I'm like, you know what? This is gonna be a brand that I'll live forever with. So
That's awesome. I mean, no, I feel like I was going to say, I see a lot of the companies that save some money on their branding,
you can tell
and you
right
can
away.
tell. Yeah, and I feel like peach painting when I heard, and I want to make sure I don't think this comes across in a bad way. I think this is what you want a brand to be. But when I saw peach painting online and I like looked you guys up, the first time I saw a comment, I was like, this looks like a $20 million painting company. Like these people, they've been around forever. They must be here. Like, and it's crazy that like when I saw that, what you've had this new brand for a year or 2 years or something,
Yep,
right?
correct.
Yeah. So I mean, to me, that's like that's what you want is the feeling of just like, yeah, we're legit. And so now diving back into like the nuts and bolts, I love the like inflection points in business. So you started 9 years ago. You said that you tried to like make it professional 3 years ago. What was your revenue in those first 6 years versus what it was when you like made the decision to do things the professional way? And where are you at today?
Yeah, great question. So I kind of cowboyed it up to about a $500,000 doing only commercial painting, my first 6 years. And, I was blessed with being able to be so hands off in the company. I was actually buying real estate, bought into another business, just had too much time on my hands. And, I had good gross profits that we were making, but was never fully satisfied. And I never knew about business coaching, business mentorship, or anything like that. Didn't even know it was a thing. So just cowboyed it up, and I always wanted to take it to the level where we're at today, but just never knew how to. Then I was just scrolling on Facebook and found Painting Contractors Group, Tanner Mullins Group. So I started digging deep, and I learned so much about just professionalizing the trade, professionalizing just being a professional business owner and running a legitimate business. And I just dove. I'm 0 or 100 in anything I do. I'm either all the way out or I'm 100% in. So I just dove so deep into it and just learned how to blow it up. My first year, we went from 500K to right under $1 million. So we what was about like 470 to about 990 was our first year of actual. We were still running our commercial, and then we launched the residential. So the residential was about 50 to 60ish% of our revenue that first year. Next year we hit about 1.5 million, and then now this year, we're on pace for around 3 million this year.
That's awesome. And the what's like so mentorship coaches that obviously I'm a big believer in that. What would you say like the top three things were that because that's insane to go from 500,000 to then 3 years later you're going to be at 3 million, and that's doubling again, and then like 50% growth. So that's huge jumps. What's the advice you would have given? Well, first of all, do you think that if you would have taken this advice to 9 year ago, Russell, would that have sped things up, or would you have been capable for? Because I guess I want to before I have you answer that. My current belief is sometimes I feel like people say, "Oh man, if I would have known what I know now 9 years ago when I started, I blah 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 whatever." And I feel like no, there is like don't like beat yourself up for figuring out all the stuff you figured out in the first 6 years, because I feel like how often do you see someone that's just like their revenue is like it's ticking up but really slow, and then something happens and they take off. And I don't think that you can just take the knowledge and put it into someone that's never done anything and have the same result. Like there is benefit to just figuring it out, doing nice and slow, like and then take it serious. But I do think you can speed it up a little bit. So I don't know if you agree with that, but I do feel like I always want to clarify, I don't think there's anything wrong with taking it easy, figuring it out, trying stuff, and then you get comfortable, and then you're like, all right, I'm gonna make a big leap here. But I feel like that's a very common approach, or like that happens a lot in business.
Oh, absolutely, and you're 100% right. And so it's a double-edged sword, exactly what you said. I would think the first thing on my mind with that is I didn't know about business coaching, but then when I learned about business coaching, I also learned about how much it costs. And I'm like, man, this is not cheap. But then I had a slight mindset shift, and I'm like, you know what? All I'm doing with coaching, I could probably figure it out myself. I figured out how to scale the company to 500,000 and be 100% hands off. Why wouldn't I be able to figure out, everything else just in due time? But that might take me 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, and I'm still a young guy. I'm 27 right now. But even so, how old am I going to be to get to that 3 million, $5 million mark? So now what I'm looking at is how do I compress time? The only way to compress time, spend your money on the right mentorship, the right coaching. But it's a double edged sword because I would say yes, if I had all this knowledge now, if I knew how to invest into myself on those coaching platforms and mentorship, the next stage of it is just going to be mindset. Because to be completely honest, yeah, we did have a rapid growth cycle, but my mindset from today to September of 2023 is going to be completely different. So 12 months ago, I probably wasn't ready to scale things as fast and as hard as I am today. So I think it all starts with yeah, knowing how to do things, but then also having the right mindset and having the grit to actually execute on everything as well. So it's a double edged sword there.
Yeah. And so you are a huge believer, you would say, get professional business coaching. That's number one.
100%.
And then what else besides that is like, is there any mindset shifts, books, peers? Like, what are the other things that were instrumental in the increase in growth?
So for me, I'm just, the person who invests into themselves the most is always going to be the person that wins. So for me, anytime I have I barely I'm a music head at heart, but I barely even listen to music right now, even especially when I'm in like a serious growth cycle in like a growth season. So anytime I'm driving anywhere, anytime I have any spare time, I'm listening to podcasts, I'm watching, videos, whether they're inspiration videos or sales videos or learning how to just grow and scale a business. Being a business owner is not a 9 to 5 job. We don't work 40 hours a week. We cannot turn our brains off. So what do you do with that time? You got to make sure you're maximizing every bit of time that you have to help yourself progress. So yeah, I would say, to be honest with me, currently I'm trying avidly right now to be a bigger reader. I'm into some audiobooks, but not to be completely honest with you, I don't read very often. But podcast and inspiration videos and just growth videos and such, that's really been a huge impact for me.
Well, I guess we'll come to the books later, but yeah, I feel like so. Uh, I don't actually talk about this often, but I got an engineering degree. Tried engineering out after college for 6 months, and then I quit. I was like, I hate this. The guy in the corner office looks miserable. He's been here for 30 years, and that's what I have to look forward to. Like I'm out, and I just left immediately. Started a marketing company, and I did marketing for 6 years, and it's actually very similar to what you said. 6 years, like we were busting our ass and figuring out how to do websites and Google and like paid ads, branding websites. Like we were just kind of like a Swiss Army knife for small businesses. We had no niche, no focus. We could basically we would say yes to anything that someone wanted us to do, and then so like on one hand you could say that was a failure. Like I did that for 6 years and it like I ended up turning, like we had 6 employees, and we just like set everybody free. And I was like, I have to move to another city for my wife who was in a contract with work. And it like I kind of just like took a breath. It was right around the time we had our first kid. So I was like a stay-at-home dad for 9 months while my wife was finishing up her contract. And I was just kind of like a little frustrated in some ways, but at the same time, like the number of things that I learned in that first 6 years, managing people at 23 years old, and selling and just figuring out problems, talking, networking, getting comfortable, getting rejected. Like there's so many things that I did that then I took all that knowledge and experience and marketing background into my first like time in painting at a painting company. And I was the marketing director of this $10 million painting company. And it was like all this work that I had put in that I felt like on one hand, people could be like, oh, the business failed because it didn't blow up and become successful. I think was actually this huge blessing of all these reps at so many nuanced things that nobody could have taught me or whatever. And it was excruciatingly hard. But to like what you said, there were a few podcasts that I listened to in those first 6 years that it was I would call it like the drug or my nutrition to continue to persist and keep moving, even when I felt like this sucks, this failed, like it's not working. But you hear entrepreneur after entrepreneur after entrepreneur or authors tell you their story, and you're like, oh, I'm actually not that far off. Like I'm in the right place. It's hard, and that's okay. I just got to keep going.
Yeah. I'm a huge component of there's no losses in life. There's only lessons. And, just to be vulnerable and transparent, I was hands off. I bought into another business when I was like 22, 23, lost 200 grand in a very short time, kept the painting business running. But you know how much I learned within that time frame? I learned way more than any college would have taught me. I've spent way less time than I would have ever spent in college. And all the business, contractual agreements and everything, learned so much from it. So it's life is all perspective. Whatever happens to you, it's all about how you take it and how you see it. Whatever happened, happened. There's no point in moping about what could have been or what should have been, but what actually happened. Take the good out of it. That's what I'm a huge component of.
Love that. So yeah, now you guys are rapid growth. I'm always curious, like, what's your why? Like, why do you care? It's hard work to grow a business like you're growing, and it takes personal development and goal setting and all that stuff. But what's the thing that's driving you to work this hard? And now, a quick word from our sponsor, which is Boolean Review. Boolean is a review software that my wife and I own, and we sell this software to home service businesses. So I know there are many different people that listen to this podcast, but if you know someone, an electrician, an HVAC business, a painting company, maybe a coffee stand, someone that is providing service to customers and get found online by customers, we would love to talk to them. This is a review software that is the highest converting review software in the home service space in particular. And if you're wondering what that means, if you have 100 clients in your business, the typical business gets between 1 to 2% of those customers. So for every 100, they would get one person or two people to leave them a review on Google. Other review softwares get between 3 and 5%, and the Boolean review software gets 20% of your customers to leave you Google reviews. And these are fantastic Google reviews with lots of words, keywords that are going to help with SEO, pictures, stories, the names of your employees. So if you want to learn more, check out booleanreview.com. And now back to the episode.
Yeah, great question. So I think about this pretty often. I was just chatting with somebody about a week or so ago. One of my coaches. I'm working with three coaches right now, and one of my coaches actually brought this up a couple weeks ago. And my why definitely is going to be for the people. I'm probably some would say too much of a giver, where I put too many people first and I just give, give, give. Of course, givers like me will get taken advantage of, but I mean, back to lessons over, no losses, only lessons. So one, we all know that the painting industry, anybody that would be listening, if you're in the painting industry or just trades in general, you'll know that, inconsistencies in the volume of work. You might have 3 days off this week, 2 days off the next week, no real consistency. To like a hostile work environment, trades were used to being in hostile work environments. So just creating a better opportunity for any of our team members to actually have a long-term sustainable company to grow within is one huge one. Stable paychecks, of course, where they don't have to worry about their rent with fluctuating hours and such. Number three, I have my son's about to be 4 next month, and I have a daughter that's 7 months right now. So of course, I don't want them to have to worry and hustle as hard as I did. Well, I mean, if they want to, of course, I want them to. But at the end of the day, if anything hit the fan, I need to make sure that they're going to be financially secured. And then yeah, just making sure that we build a huge team out of this that's going to be replicatable and just impact more and more people, and you know create that better opportunity for just that many more people, not only the actual painters but office and leadership teams as well. And I'm huge with like I said, personal development, coaching, and such. And so many people call me in the industry, and I'll just coach them just for free. Give them a call, and I sat on the phone for an hour, 2 hours here and there. Check out my buddy's operation. They come out here. I was just out of my buddy's operation last week, coaching up his whole team, hyping them all up. Had a whole sales production team, and I'm over there just giving them a bunch of insight. They had some issues, but like that's the stuff that I really like to do. And without this whole game of business, you're not able to, in my opinion, impact as many people as I would have been able to if I hadn't been in this game of business.
That's awesome. So, you're yeah, like the impact and the reach. That's I can resonate with that. Do you have a target revenue size that you're trying to get to with the business?
I don't. So when we did the branding, I was not 100% sure if I wanted to go franchise route or if I wanted to go multi locations. I knew I was not going to stop at the Tampa location. I think the branding's pretty big for just one location. Even if we stay at one location, great. But whether we're at 5 million, 7 million, 10, $15 million a year in the Tampa location, my main goal is to just get all of our systems completely dialed in, get our main leadership team, our main production managers, sales team in place where everything's running like a well-oiled machine before we just replicate to the next location. So whether we go 5 locations, 10, 20, 50 locations, sky's the limit. And really, it's just going to fall back on how strong our systems are and then how good of general managers we can have at different locations.
What do you think the bottleneck is for you to achieve that?
So the bottleneck right now is we just I spent the last 6 months of this year restructuring the entire business. So that's been the bottleneck, and it still kind of is just our lack of proper systems doing such a scale. We're doing 1.5 million last year, less than 1.5 million, and then now we're pumping 3 million. 3 million on our painting side. We should hit $1 million on our flooring side in our first year as well. So it's collectively about 4 million. So with that, we're doing a ton of jobs and we just haven't produced that. So we're still learning the systems as they go. And yeah, we did restructure all of our office systems. We have restructured all of our production management. And most importantly, we have a really, really tough and thorough sales system that our sales guys sit through 2 to 3 weeks before they could ever even touch their own appointment of just drilling in the classroom. So within all that, that was the huge bottleneck, all of that before all three of those. But I've been focused on, losing money intentionally, dumping money back into the business, dumping time back into the business, slowing down our appointments list so that we can build up all these systems and everything, just for the greater outcome. So our net is not going to be very good in 24, but I don't mind about that. It's a minor setback for a major comeback. But that's been our bottleneck, and it still kind of is. So I think in the next 6 months, we'll have a great understanding of all of our systems. We hired coaches for all these systems basically, so it's not like we were cowboying all these systems as well. So again, back to compressing time on that. So I feel very confident where our systems are now. Now we really need to put them to test, and doing more and more volume will be the way to put them to test and see exactly how we can shine.
After you get systems dialed, what's the next bottleneck?
Next bottleneck is going to be finding and retaining the right leadership team.
And then what after that?
Then the next location that we're running.
Because I was gonna what I was or what I have thought about is when it comes to being a business owner. One of the I was just talking to a friend about this the other day that basically the role of a business owner is to just constantly put themselves in situations where they're trying to become a master of some system or process. And then as soon as you get good at it, you hand it off and you go find the next thing that you suck at that you need to get good at to then learn that thing. And then you get really good at it and you start to have like, hey, I got this figured out. Like I'm good at sales. I can do marketing. And it's like hand it off. Like you are not responsible for becoming like it's funny, like we have this automation company, we automate painting companies, and I love automating. I love it so like finding a way to save 10 seconds 30 times a day is like the most exciting thing for me. But the thing that I'm realizing is like when I'm the guy that does the thing and solves the problem, there's a part of me that's like, ooh, that feels really good. Like I get satisfaction out of solving someone's problem. But then I'm like, congratulations, Chris. You're the guy, which means that nobody's running the business. So get your ass up and like go run the business. You know what I mean? And find somebody else, train them up, teach them how to know everything you know so they can start solving that problem. And I feel like, I don't know if you've had any experiences like that with like, you close a major commercial job or something and you're just like, hell yeah, Russell, I did it. And it's like, okay, that's not what the business needs. Like that's cool for the short term, but like who's the next guy in sales or girl that's going to come in and, crush that so that you don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I felt like I made it. I'm a business owner. I've dropped the brush. I'm not painting anymore. Now I'm just running the office, running the vision and doing all the sales. I made it. Then I'm starting to run all the sales and realize, man, I'm really good at this. I'm closing left and right. I like this, making good money. Then I'm like, wait, hold on, I'm burning out a little bit right now. Why am I burning out? Because I'm running 5 estimates a day, doing a little bit of project management, still running the business and the office side of things. So then I had that goes back to mindset that I wasn't in the right mindset. I had a whole mindset shift, hired our sales team, and I don't even want to touch sales. At this point, I love selling, but I hate selling. I don't want to sell. So I literally just we launched cabinets again because we picked up some really good cabinet crews. We cut them off for a little while, and our new sales team, they never sold cabinets. So I've ran 3 appointments. I think I ran one this week and two last week. My first appointments that I've ran in like 3 months. And I mean, I like doing it, but then I get back home and I'm like, man, I have so much to do. Going through my email, catching up, working all night for my real day to day job. I'm like, man, stuck in the rabbit hole again. So definitely goes back to mindset of how you're gonna be able to get out of that next delegate that next task to delegate it out.
Yeah. Have you heard of the book Buy Back Your Time, Dan Martell?
I haven't.
I have it. I just randomly have it on my desk. I was going to say, he's fantastic. I'm actually doing his health and fitness program right now. Um, but he's just a fantastic entrepreneur. Like he's just a good, solid dude. And I was going to say the Buy Back Your Time book is the saying that he says many times in the book is like you need to grow a business he wants to help entrepreneurs grow a business they don't grow to hate. And the most people think I need to, I need to increase my sales or whatever. So I'm going to hire a salesperson, or I need to paint more houses. I'm going to hire more painters. And his whole thing is the entrepreneur needs to constantly be buying back their time. So what are you doing? What in your day is consuming most of your energy and time, and turn that into a role and hire that out and get yourself 8 hours back a week, and then find the next one, and just keep figuring out where am I spending my time, how do I get out of that so that I can do the next thing, because there's just a limitless number of ceilings. And probably the hardest one for me, but it's also enjoyable, but it's like the most art as far as a skill goes is leadership. So it's like, how are you going to level up as a leader and be someone that stays inspiring but humble, confident, motivating, and then work through any limiting beliefs and things like that that are stopping you. I don't know if you've had, or the coaches that you have worked with, have they talked about uh, like the limiting beliefs or the ways that you can self sabotage yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. And back to like the delegations of things. It's really scary. You can, like you said, self sabotage the whole time when you're trying to delegate things. If you're not, leading and training correctly whenever you're trying to delegate things. So yeah, 100%. I could see how it all kind of intertwines with each other.
Yeah, I was gonna say the interestingly enough, one of the biggest breakthroughs that I've had with coaching is realizing that I basically had some wounds from when I was in middle school and got bullied that were still unconsciously driving decisions and like things that I would do basically to like stand up to these bullies. It's like, so I'm like 34 years old and there's still like a 13-year-old version of Chris inside of me that's like trying to defend himself. And it's just like, I don't know if for people that are listening that have never kind of explored that, it's wild when you actually have someone probe into that part of your psyche to be like, oh crap, like I still do feel anxious around that or lack confidence or something, and it does permeate to other aspects of your life whether you want to acknowledge it or not.
Yeah, it's funny you say that too because I had a business coach. He's just a business coach, and he's like, we can't go to business until we lock down your personal. And then he starts getting deep into all of my personal stuff and pulls out stuff that I didn't even think is an issue. Guy had a grown man, me, crying on on a Zoom call with him, just pulling out all this stuff, and I'm like, man, I didn't even think that was a thing. Never even thought about it, but I guess maybe I did think about it subconsciously.
Yeah, totally. And that's, yeah, I think that's the cool thing, I think, or it's exciting, is that as you grow you get the opportunity to help other people have those, breaking through the unconscious drivers or limiting beliefs that they didn't know were there, because that's necessary. If you're going to have multiple locations, you need to eventually, you will have a Russell Peach of today in your seat doing what you're doing while you're doing the next thing, and that means you got to help form that person.
Yeah, that's the big thing that I'm working on with my leadership team and all the the sales team and just office managers and such is the way that I communicate. I'm really trying to instill it into their head so everybody's communicating exactly like me. Like we have a 1-3-1 rule. Have you ever heard of the 1-3-1 rule?
Oh, I yes, I'm gonna take a stab and see how fresh this is for me. But you have to identify the problem, then provide three solutions for the problem, and then give your recommendation on which one you would do. Is that correct?
Bingo. So we've been drilling heavy into the 1-3-1 rule anytime they call because I need them to be the problem solvers. I can't always be the problem solver. So the way that I communicate, the way that we're just demonstrating everything needs to be portrayed, and because the buck can't stop at me, and the more I work on that, the more I'll be hands off, and I'll just have, like you said, mini Russells all the way around. The way that I communicate, everybody else will. So
Mm, that's awesome. And how long have you been doing that?
that's fresh. That's probably 3 months.
That's great. Um, yeah. Anything else in the world of branding, growth, or sales that you want to slip in before we move to our wrap up questions?
Yeah, the branding. So back to a big point that you said is you look at us online and you're like, man, $20 million company. These guys have been around forever. That was a huge point of it is because we sell a premium service. We offer a premium service. We give a red carpet treatment basically on all of our projects. We're not the blow and go apartment painters. So granted, we started as blow and go apartment painters. That's why that's why I had such a mindset shift on we are not doing the blow and go apartments. We need to do it correctly the first time. So how are we going to prove our legitimacy when we have a similar spiel to a franchise that are in the area that has nice branding or whoever you're comparing to. But then you have all this branding. It just shows more, social proof there that maybe they do invest into themselves, and then it's just more people are going to, obviously our big peach mascot is eye catchy. We're gonna get more leads from it. So it all kind of intertwines with each other. But biggest thing is kind of like I hate this word, fake it till you make it, because I like face it till you make it. But I mean that's kind of the ideology with it is just fake it till you make it. And the bigger people think you are, the more they're gonna call, the more they're gonna trust, and the faster you're gonna grow.
Do you remember, like, what was the first project after your branding that you felt we only got this because of our branding?
Um, to be honest, I can't even tell you. I thought I was a killer salesman, and I think I just gave it all up to my sales.
But did you feel like there's that, like, they're hands down, like, you have gotten jobs because of your branding?
Yeah, actually, I remember one in the very beginning is Tesla owners always hire us whenever I pull up in the wrap Tesla. So, pulled up in the wrap Tesla. We're talking for 10 minutes about the Tesla before we even walk in and look at the project. Guy already loves us, and hired us right on the spot. So, it was a mixture of the Tesla and the branding too. So,
And did I see on social that you removed the wrap from the Tesla, or is that just put it a different one?
I just removed it, so we're going to a full Prius sales team now. We got to keep things humble. I think I was getting a little bit of pushback. I don't know how much pushback, but maybe people weren't, hiring us too much. Like, look at these flashy guys with a nice wrapped Model Y, not even the Model 3. So
Mm.
maybe that was a thing. Maybe it wasn't a thing. But now that we have a full sales team, I'm like, I'm not buying them all Teslas now. Let's get a nice Priuses, 50 miles per gallon on the road. Get them wrapped, and they all look just the same.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, no autopilot. Well, I guess the autopilot, that'd be even another 12 grand. So that's hard to justify. I was gonna say the autopilot is just, it's amazing, unbelievable.
Yeah, last thing on the branding too is it not only brings the good clients, but it really brings good team members too. So a lot of people are really attracted to just working for us, and we want to bring those A players, and those real A players that are actual the high performers are going to be the ones that work for the best companies. And whether they know who the best companies are or not, when you look at a brand like ours, it's going to be a huge attraction. I mean, all of our sales guys told us, yeah, one of the main reasons I looked at you guys was the branding. I saw all your Google reviews and everything. Then I had your interview. Interview was spot on and everything, and that's kind of what brought them in. But that was like the foreshadowing, reasons why they even came to us. So that's why I'm a huge advocate on branding like ours.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. And I mean, honestly, I'm trying to think, is there a, I'm trying to think of another company that I've seen in the PCA world that has better branding. And I'm not just saying that. Nathan and I on our team have talked about peach painting is like just a cool, like, it's fun. I feel like sometimes you have really professional, but peach is like, to me, it's like approachable, but like they got their shit together. And I think that there's something about that. Like, do you guys have a big peach mascot, like, a thing you can actually put on?
We're looking into one. There's one that we were probably about to pull a trigger on. It's a couple grand for it for the really
Totally
nice
worth
one,
it.
but it's gonna be fully worth it. But I'm a clown, man. I'm joking all the time, and we have a great company culture, so we can't have the super dialed in, branding where it looks like we're just this suit and tie company. So that was a huge part of the strategy sessions whenever Prolific was actually doing the brand design. So
Totally. Awesome. Well, let's move into the wrap up question. So, 3 book recommendations.
yeah, so my three, to be completely transparent, like I said, I'm not a huge reader, but these are the three that I actually that I'm just looking into. 21 Laws of Irrefutable Leadership. That one I just started. Have you heard of that one?
Ryan Holiday has talked about that. What's that guy's name? Is it Maxwell, or is that Green? Who wrote that one?
I think it's Maxwell.
Yes, I have. It's been a while, but I know. What about it?
That one just I know one of my coaches. That's a huge one that he's always referencing to. It's just helping with leadership. So that's one that I'm diving deep into, and I haven't made it very far. But next one that I'm diving into after that is going to be Never Split the Difference. Of course, sales
Oh,
book.
that's a great book.
Yep.
Love Chris Voss. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like most entertaining sales book I think that is on the market.
Awesome. And then last one, of course, the everybody's read Traction. So I barely dented Traction too, but EOS model is what we'd like to move towards. So that's where we're gonna dive deep into Traction as well. So I'm not a big movie guy. I'm not a big TV guy. I haven't turned my TV on for myself other than my kids in the last 5 years. Like I said, personal growth and personal development's all I do with my free time. But I was thinking about this pretty heavy, and all that could come to my head was the movie Founder, that movie on McDonald's, of how that guy went from selling, whatever crock pots or whatever, ended up buying into the McDonald's and blew it up to what the McDonald's is today. It's a good, real good entrepreneurship, movie that would hit home for a lot of us entrepreneurs listening.
Oh yeah. Fun fact. So I live in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and Ray Kroc and his wife Joan, they at towards the end of his life, he had all this money from making an international company, and they made I don't know like 15 Kroc centers, which are like big, huge community centers with a pool and water park and gym and coffee shop, auditorium, daycare. Like it's just this massive thing. And Coeur d'Alene has one of the Kroc centers. So it's like everybody in town. If you have kids, you're a member at the Kroc because the kids. It's just like it's heaven. But it's crazy that that's the give back of this McDonald's, which is also everywhere. But the bummer is that not every city in the country has one of these Croc centers because it's awesome.
We're gonna have to make a family trip now. You sold me.
Yeah. And if people want to get in touch with you, how do you recommend they do that? What's your preferred channel?
Yeah, Facebook. My name's Russell Peach on Facebook. Company's Peach Painting Tampa on Facebook. Or you can get at me on Instagram, Peach the Painter on Instagram, or my business one is also Peach Painting Tampa. Either one of them, a little bit more active on Facebook with the community groups and everything, running the painting contractors group and uh, just providing a lot of value there and such. But either or, Instagram, Facebook, those are the two handles on them.
Well, Russell, this was awesome. Loved getting a chance to pick your brain and connect. And yeah, hopefully everyone else found it valuable. And until next time, we'll see you around.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me on, Chris, and thanks everyone listening.
Thank you so much for listening. My name is Chris Kiefer, and my mission is to champion the relentless pursuit of purpose. And what that means to me is to be an example, a champion, someone that is in the trenches, working and showing and winning and trying and failing in how to pursue a deeper and more meaningful life with the people that I love, with my kids, with my friends, with our family, and also just be a champion and example of entrepreneurship and following my passion and doing what I believe I'm called to on this earth. And so if that inspires you in some way, please share this episode. If you want, like, subscribe, share, whatever, do all the stuff. It means the world to me to get this message and get these guests that I have out there. And if you're interested in any of the book recommendations or looking up other episodes of the movie list, you can visit my website, chriskiefer.com, for all the details on the show. And also check out the Boolean review software, as well as the Boolean automation consulting company that I own for home service businesses. So thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next episode.